and we're going to start in Minnesota. It's Cincinnati and it's Minnesota. We should get much different quarterback situation. If we got injuries, Joe Burrow's down for, 90 days. You take a look at J.J. McCarthy. He might be out as much as 4 to 6 weeks here, which now leaves us with Browning versus Wentz, but still a favorite for the Minnesota Vikings at -3, Joe, a total, which did come down from 47.5. Now was at 41.5. We're up to 42.5 here. We'll see if that changes by Sunday. Browning versus Wentz. Not what we expected, but it's what we're getting.
Yeah, no, it's not. And what are you going to get from Carson Wentz here? I mean, listen, if O'Donnell is actually the quarterback whisperer that everyone says he is, and, watching what Sam Darnold has been doing and what he did with him is, he's legit, but he is going to have to pull something out of his hat here with Carson Wentz. Because I don't know. They lost Aaron Jones to a hamstring injury for the next couple of weeks. So the running game is going to be a little suspect. The offensive line was already suspect. They were hoping to get Darisaw back, but he's likely not going in this game. So I don't know what you're going to get offensively from them. I think we know what we're going to get with the Bengals because we have a backup quarterback that has been with the team for 4 years. He's been in that system. He's been with those players. A lot of familiarity, and that matters early on in the season in a spot like this on the road. To me, I'll take the 3 all day long because no way am I putting all of my eggs in that Carson Wentz basket thinking that he's going to come out firing. I'm not buying it.
Yeah, I think you're right with that, too, because sometimes, you can equate it to any sport. Just because you have a bad defense, like Cincinnati doesn't have a great defense, you still need an offense that can exploit it. Is it just going to be Justin Jefferson, 11 catches for 172 yards and 3 touchdowns, and Wentz delivers the football? You're going to have more of a power run game as opposed to an explosive run game for Minnesota. But I'm with you. Browning's going to throw interceptions, but he's going to throw touchdowns as well. And if I'm just going to flip that coin and say, all right, well, Browning, I think, might be better at Wentz at this part of his career and a little bit more weapons on offense, I'll take the 3 points as well. And you're right about Darisaw. Here's the interesting part, Joe. Wednesday, he had a full practice. Thursday, he did not practice. I don't know if that's, let's see how the knee feels. So Friday practice reports. If you're new to the NFL, and I don't know why you are, the most key ingredient, you'll know exactly who's going to be going on Sunday today. So keep an eye on Darisaw out there as we go. Texans and the Jaguars in Jacksonville. A 1.5-point spread here is a favorite towards Jacksonville. I think that's light here. Houston, again, 0-2, desperate leads a victory. 44.5 is the total. 88 degrees, heat, sun, and mugginess in Jacksonville this weekend for the domed Houston Texans.
Yeah, if Houston can't run the ball, Houston becomes one-dimensional, and C.J. Stroud with that offensive line is in big trouble. So there has to be an effort by this Houston team to be able to move the chains and not try to be this quick. It can't just be C.J. Stroud and Collins. They have to be able to run the ball. And Jacksonville, they picked on not a great Bengals defense last week. But overall, Trevor Lawrence again. This is a tough one. I think Houston's defense is better, and I give them the edge.
I'm going opposite of you, Joe, in this one. I'm going Jacksonville Jaguars. I like that offense. I just haven't seen enough scoring for Houston. I think both of the defenses will be able to rush the quarterback. But when I look at Houston, it feels like it's just, Stroud and Nico and nothing else at this point. Now, keep an eye on Christian Kirk getting some practices in this week. That could change and really help that offense. But Jacksonville is elite on offense. You just can't make the bonehead play, man. Wake up, Trevor Lawrence. Just deliver this weekend, and let's get a victory. We'll see what happens there. More NFL talk and games next on The Early Line. Donnie, Rightside, Joe Ranieri here on a Football Friday, SportsGrid Network, The Early Line. The Doobie Brothers once wrote a song and sang it as What a Fool Believes Here. And this is why we bring up this next game. What do you believe, and how do you bet this game? The Indianapolis Colts came into the season. I didn't have high expectations. They look like one of the best well-oiled offensive machines since we had the greatest show on turf in the Rams 20-plus years ago. They're taking on the Tennessee Titans, trying to find their way with Cam Ward at quarterback. The line opened up at 2.5. It now sits between 3.5 and 4.5, depending on where you're shopping at, in a total, Joe, of 43.5. Is it a mirage? Is it fool's gold? Or does Indy roll into Tennessee against an inferior team and put the hammer down on them as well? Or is it like, yep, that's the Daniel Jones I wanted to talk about because now they're on the road and not in the friendly confines at Lucas Oil Stadium. What are we feeling about this game? This is a tough one.
We're going to learn a lot, are we not,
You are.
about this Indy
Mhm.
team now? So out of the dome, Danny Dimes on the road, always interesting. And listen, I like what I have seen from this Tennessee team. This is a real defense, Donnie. That defense of Tennessee is actually pretty darn good, and they're tough, especially with Simmons up front there. So
Yeah.
I think the Titans defense can certainly keep them in this game. It's going to be a work in process with Cam Ward, right? But the one thing that I love about him is that he doesn't throw the ball to the other team. The turnovers haven't been there like we've seen with, Will Levis over the last couple of years with the Tennessee Titans as a young quarterback. So, listen, I think Tennessee is live here. Do they win the game outright? I wouldn't go that far, but I think this game is going to be much closer in the fourth quarter than people think.
Yeah, that 4.5 is an interesting number because I don't know. And again, usually after 2 weeks, you know a lot about the football team. I do know they're competent. We're talking about the Colts, but now you go on the road against a team you're supposed to beat, right? As opposed to the first 2 weeks, like, ooh, I wonder if the Colts can win. No, the Colts are supposed to win here and how they perform in that spot. Doesn't it feel, Joe, like it lands right on the spread, 24-20, total and also side, where the game is in the balance in the fourth quarter. Now, understand this. If the Colts go on the road and win like 27-13, 27-14, you have to start believing in the Colts here because that just means they're a good football team, sound. They're beating the teams they're supposed to, and also with the ability to up their game. I'm interested to see how that one actually plays out. Game number 2 we're going to talk about in this segment. That's the Vegas Raiders and Geno Smith, who were terrible in primetime this week, going up against Washington. Hey, look, there's what? Well, who's actually going to be a quarterback? Who's going to start? Marcus Mariota, Jaden Daniels. We don't know, and that's why that spread is dropping. Opened up around a touchdown, Joe. Now we're seeing 3.5s across the board and a total of 48.5, dipping down to 44.5. What does this mean for the Washington spread? And also, Jaden Daniels, no practice Wednesday, no practice Thursday. The expectations are he's probably not going to play this weekend.
Yeah, I think you got a gift here if you can get 3 now, Donnie, with the Commander. If he's ruled out, I think that's the number that you're looking for because Marcus Mariota has been there and more than capable of beating this Raiders secondary. Raiders on a short week as well there, Donnie, given the fact that they looked awful against the Chargers on Monday night. This is a lot of traveling for the Raiders on a short week, trying to fix what is some glaring holes on that side of the ball defensively there. I think the Commanders will use the ground game. I think that defense will bounce back. And I expect it to be a long afternoon and a value play. If Daniels is ruled out and Mariota's in there, it'll definitely be Commanders if I can get the 3.
There you go. Look at that. Lining it up here. By the way, 4 o'clock games, usually the biggest games of the week. I'm going to say, like, the best game of the week just might be a 1 o'clock game, and that's between the Los Angeles Rams and the Philadelphia Eagles, a rematch of the divisional round last year in the snow that saw Saquon Barkley go nuts, and then also almost have a Philadelphia Eagles collapse late in that game, and Jalen Carter bails them out. Nobody decided to block him, got a sack, and they win the football game and then head into the NFC Championship game, and then, of course, into the Super Bowl and winning the Super Bowl. This line, Joe, opens up at 4.5, dips down to 3.5, still is a favorite for the Philadelphia Eagles. The total, 45.5 at most outlets to open, now down to 44.5. Good weather expected in Philadelphia. The Rams looking for revenge. The Eagles yet to get on track on offense, but all they do is continue to win. Do they have enough juice in the tank to beat those Rams? Or are the Rams going to say, no, all that hype before the season is real. We're the team to beat in the NFC.
Yeah, you are, but this is a tough matchup here for both these teams. Both defenses, elite as far as I'm concerned here. Both of these teams showed you what they're capable of last year in the postseason, Donnie, in a game where you just couldn't count out Stafford and this Rams team, but they grew up a lot, that young defense on the Rams side. Going on the road, I'm sure this game means a lot more to the Rams guys than it does the Eagles. Sure, the Eagles want to win, but here they are again, won the first couple of games. The offense doesn't look like it's humming along right now for the Eagles. So I think the under is the best way to go. I agree with the market move, pushing it down from 45.5. I think the defenses come out to play in this one. And I think, I think points are going to be hard to come by, just like they were last week at Arrowhead for the Eagles.
I'm going opposite on that for you, Joe, because I do think that you're right about one thing. Both of these defenses are coming in really good. And if you look at the final scores of some of these early games with both of these teams, you're like, you know what? I can see this game 24-21-ish, which would still get you to the over. But I just think the Eagles are due for a bust out. And a bust out doesn't mean 35-plus points, but just to look more fluid, get the wide receivers in there, and also understand this. There's no bigger Eagles fan than me. I actually look towards the Rams and say, you know what? McVay is a really good play caller. If you watch the first two games the Philadelphia Eagles played, yes, the defense was good. Yes, they won both of those games, and I love it, and I'm hoping they beat the Rams as well. But there is an inefficiency right now at that second outside cornerback position. Now it's one of those games where you go in against the Kansas City Chiefs where they missed a lot of deep shots in that game because Patrick Mahomes was somehow a little bit off. You're not going to get that with Matthew Stafford. And also, it's not Tyquan Thornton beating you deep. It's Puka Nacua, who is unbelievable. It's Devontae Adams, who is unbelievable. That's the matchup I'm looking forward to, which I do think the Rams can try to exploit. Should be a great game in Philadelphia, but for me, I am leaning towards the over, and I do think there's some things that Rams offense can do to frustrate Vic Fangio's defense. And again, even in week number 1, Joe, right against Dallas, CeeDee Lamb, if he just makes a couple simple catches, they light up that Eagles secondary. I'm not saying that the Eagles aren't causing these because sometimes it's better to be lucky and still play good football and win games. I get it. But I do think the Rams can do some things to frustrate the Eagles. We'll find out what happens here. I'll tell you what's frustrating. If you're a Panthers fan out here, your offensive line is banged up. Dave Canales is your head coach. Bryce Young going backwards again at this point. Michael Penix comes to town. That defense should be able to eat, but there's no surprise. 2.5-point lines, Joe. They're now up to 5.5. Total 43.5. Is anybody out there other than, hey, let's just be real sharp, we love the Panthers at home with the points? How do we figure this one?
Yeah, I think we're going to get points here. I'm leaning towards the over in this one here. Now, granted, losing a couple of starting offensive linemen is not great, but both of the guys that will be stepping in are experienced and have been there. So it's not great for Carolina, but it feels like this is a game where, again, in the second half, we might be seeing prevent defense, Donnie. We might see some points on the board that are going to help us get up and over this key number here of 43. 43.5 to me, I think is too light. I could see Atlanta putting up, 24, 28 points alone. I think we can get up and over this one.
Here's how you get scared, Joe, right? Opening line here, and I'm just looking at FanDuel, was a -2.5. We're 5.5 across the board right now. The ticket count is heavily skewed, though, in Carolina's direction. So, hey, Atlanta never really plays well on the road, and they might look past this game. That line has gone up 3 points despite more people betting ticket-wise on the Carolina Panthers, and we typically know how that works out. But what are the expectations for Carolina? Like, how are we scoring? Is it like, hey, Bryce, just throw 40 times, we got to evaluate you. Is that simple?
Oh, I think, they're going to be playing from behind, right? I think that's safe to say, which means he's going to have to throw the ball. I think there are some points coming in this game for Bryce Young.
Points. Who's coming up next year? It's Tom Vecchio to talk to us and have some fun about NFL action this weekend. Let's get some best bets on the board, people, right here on the Early Line. It's a Football Friday right here on the SportsGrid Network, the Early Line. It's time to bring in some friends here and enjoy our Football Friday just a little bit more. It's Donnie Rightside. It's Joe Ranieri. Welcome in Tom Vecchio, a friend of the SportsGrid Network. He's all over the SportsGrid Network. He's a friend of ours as well, Tom. It's a Friday after a profitable Thursday night football game.
Yeah, great game last night. We got some points late. There was a little bit of drama, what have you, but we're set up for a great week of football. I have some props that I love. Some of these props have been on the move since I've been tweeting them out on Wednesday, but I'm ready to roll.
I'll tell you what I do like, too. Again, early in the season, no bye weeks, no 6 teams sit it out here. Full slate, 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football. By the way, Monday Night Football looks like it could be an absolute banger. But we'll get there on Monday. Today, we want to focus on some things that are going to happen on Sunday. One of those games in Tampa Bay, Tom. Tyrod Taylor is going to get the starting quarterback for the Jets because Justin Fields is down with a concussion, a touchdown or so favorite for Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield, that offense, looking to get on track against the New York Jets and continue their winning ways. What do you see in this game? And also maybe an angle for a prop bet.
Yeah, I think the Bucs are the clear favorite team in this one. We spoke about the Bucs the other night. I was on the Bucs money line. Great come from behind win for them, but Really, really like Mike Evans in this game. Like, really like him so much. I'm going for him for a touchdown. It was plus 155 on Wednesday when I tweeted about it. It's down to plus 120. I've seen plus 110s, minus 105s even in some spots for Mike Evans. But he has a 37% red zone target share this season. He has yet to score a touchdown. He's also not gone 3 games in a row without a touchdown since Baker took over. The Jets also only have 9 quarterback pressures generated this season. And while the Bucs offensive line is really banged up, the lack of pressures that they're generating should allow Baker the time to find Mike Evans. And Baker's also top 10 in the league this year when it comes to EPA per play. So he's moving the ball. They should be able to put up points. And the main guy is Mike Evans. Get him a touchdown.
Like it.
Yeah, some injuries in that secondary, too. Tony Adams, their safety, their nickelback, Michael Carter, very questionable to play. So there could be some injuries in that back of that allow Evans to go off in this game. But the game I'm looking forward to seeing is with the Denver Broncos, who I worry might lose that game against Indy twice here and lose it again this week. That defense is a little bit head-scratching here of Denver, but so is Bo Nix, who seems to be dinking and dunking his way around the field here. What are we going to do in this game?
This is like, on paper, the Broncos defense should be so much better than they are. With Pat Surtain, Nick Bonito, like you have like 2 Defensive Player of the Year candidates really on that team, and you're not coming away with wins or not coming away with significant stops. So I'm a little bit worried about that. But on the Chargers side of things, they've allowed the 8th fewest rushing yards per game. They're actually specifically strong against running backs, allowing, rushing yards to QBs doesn't really impress me that much, or doesn't really worry that much, I should say. So ultimately, I don't think Denver's going to be able to move the ball on the ground with Harvey and Dobbins, and this is going to have to be a Bo Nix type of game. We've seen him be very inefficient at times, but I think the passing attempts are where I want to look. So over 32.5 passing attempts for Bo Nix. He went over the summer both times versus the Chargers last season. He's been over it once this year. They got to move the ball, and it's going to be through the air. It's not going to be on the ground versus this tough Chargers defense.
Yeah, it should be a fun one to watch that play out, too. And also take a look at the Denver Broncos. Felt they had a win last week, but had a little bit too much leverage, as we like to say, and ended up with a loss in that one. If we head to Seattle, Seattle's an interesting one this year. Great win last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road after a tough loss at home against the San Francisco 49ers. They're heavily favored against the New Orleans Saints. We should get some points in this game, but again, 41.5 is the total of this game. Let's call it 7.5 as a favorite. Before the season started, I looked at Jaxon, Smith-Njigba, and I think I sent a tweet out that was like, wait a second. 750 yards is his total for a guy that went over 1,000 last year. Now is the guy like, we don't know how Sam Darnold's going to do. He's been fantastic to start this season. No surprise for your boy DRS. How you playing Jaxon, Smith-Njigba this week versus New Orleans?
You keep it simple. I did consider his touchdown odds were down at plus 115. I don't love that number, but he's yet to score this year, so I can understand going there, but over 73.5 yards. I mean, he has a 44% target share. It's not the highest on the Seahawks. That's the highest in the entire NFL. There's no one on the Seahawks that could or should conceivably take targets away from him. Cooper Kupp's there. Cooper Kupp's a shell of him, of his former self. Let's just call it what it is. He'll get a few targets every game. But when you have JSN that can realistically bring in 13, 11 targets per game, most of them have a high A-dot over 10 yards. We're not talking about, he needs 15 catches to get here. He can get this done in 5 catches. He is the guy on offense. Zach Charbonnet has been limited all week, so the ground game may not be as efficient. And we just saw Mac Jones throw for 279 against the Saints defense. I think we'd all agree Sam Darnold may not be the best quarterback, but he's better than Mac Jones.
Yeah.
Feels like, I'll give the Saints credit, too, because Spencer Rattler has been able to be at least a little bit more competent than what we thought he would be with Olave and company there. Feels like we might be getting an over in this game as well. What are you thinking?
I have to think points. The Seattle defense, all right, you start at home week 1. It's a little bit slow. In-division opponent against the 49ers. Sure, what have you. Last week against the Steelers, and I think we'd all agree the Steelers' offense is okay. It's not great, but it's not terrible. But if you're giving up that many points, but you also can score against what should be a good defense, you should be able to put up points back at home. So if you told me the Seahawks get to 27, 28, I think we're going to get the Seattle team get to Seattle's going to get to 27, 28. The Saints are going to get to 21. I think we'll be on pace for an over in this game.
Let's go, Rattler. Let's go. See what you have here. By the way, 425 game on Sunday. Just want your quick opinion. Dallas Cowboys, Chicago Bears. And it's all the makings of we should get an absolute shootout. You look at the 50.5, similar to what we saw last night. We should get points and got them. How are you playing that game with Dallas and Chicago?
I think CeeDee Lamb scores because he gets to score. He's going to pile up a ton of yards. The Bears have struggled against St. Brown last week. They struggled against Jefferson in week 1 to an extent.
Yeah.
I want to play a live over. I really do. I think the 50, 51.5, whatever might be, is super tough. But if you give me a live over of that 48 number, 47.5, that key number, I'll take it.
Yeah, Dak Prescott throwing multiple touchdowns makes some sense. Even Caleb Williams in this game. It just feels like we're supposed to get both of these teams at least into the mid-20s with a legitimate chance to take down that 50.5 that sits there. And the Cowboys are actually a favorite in this game. He's Tom Vecchio on a Football Friday on the SportsGrid Network. No better place to be. Tom, thanks for joining us on the early line and bringing that energy. I mean, how much fun was that last segment with Coach Terry Bowden, man? That's the information we need, getting you ready for a Sports Saturday, which includes a lot of college football and also, hint, college football today right here on the SportsGrid Network. 10 a.m. tomorrow, myself and Joe Lisi counting down to kickoff. Every game you want to see, the big game players, the big prop bets that you need, make sure you tune into the SportsGrid Network tomorrow, 10 a.m. sharp. But before we get to that, we got to get back to the NFL, Joe Ranieri. We got a lot of games to preview on Sunday to help the people get ready for their Sports Sunday. 463, 464 rotation, a 1 o'clock start. Pittsburgh, that's the Steelers, taking on the New England Patriots. The Steelers gave one away last week against the Seahawks, and you saw New England go to Miami and get a victory, their first of the season. Pittsburgh goes to New England as a 1.5-point favorite, and a total, Joe, that's up from 41.5 to 44.5. Pittsburgh looking for a bounce back. New England looking to get over 500. What gives in this one?
What gives is we're getting a lot of New England money in the marketplace there, Donnie. And I can't blame it. What has happened to the Steelers defense, folks? I mean, they're 29th currently in points allowed. They can't get to the quarterback. They can't stop the run. So how is that going to help you against the Patriots offense that is now going with Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson, and they're kind of double teaming guys? They are a mess right now, this Pittsburgh team. So yeah, New England, they can stop the run. I don't trust Aaron Rodgers there to be able to carry this team like he did against the Jets. So to me, yeah, it would be Patriots, the home dog here, a pass.
Yeah, looking at Deshaun Elliott, didn't practice Wednesday and Thursday, the safety there for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Derek Harmon, that first-round tackle that got injured in the preseason, limited practices on Wednesday and Thursday, but also Alex Highsmith, the other component there to TJ Watt on the opposite side, didn't practice on Wednesday and Thursday, and then Joey Porter fighting that hamstring injury, no practice on Wednesday or Thursday here. We'll see what's up at that point right now. But that vaunted defense that you thought you could lean on to start the season, nowhere to be found just yet, as Joe's pointing out, and he's rightfully so on that here. To Green Bay and Cleveland, you want two good defenses? You got them in this game. That's why that total is sitting at 41.5, a favorite of over a touchdown on the road for Green Bay. Now, we did talk about like Tucker Kraft, injury. Is he going to play in this game? Already missing a wide receiver at the end, broken clavicle. Green Bay is the better team, and Flacco is an absolute statue. There's no way, shape, or form I think Cleveland's going to win this game, but I got to tell you, 41.5 is a low number, Joe. It really feels like a 24 to 14 type ball game for me, where Green Bay's defense is going to put Joe Flacco in a pretzel.
So let's see. If we just compare these two teams, offensively, Green Bay is better. Defensively, Green Bay is better. Special teams, Green Bay is better. All right. So all three facets of the game, I got one side that is clearly better than the other side. And listen, as good as, and Cleveland's defense is the best part of that organization, right?
Yeah.
But they just gave up 34 points to Baltimore. So what is Green Bay, who has one of the best offenses in the country? What are we doing here, Donnie? I mean, to me, this is Green Bay. If you don't want to lay the points, use Green Bay in every teaser you are thinking about doing this week and back them up that way.
Smart, because what Joe is saying is if you even watch that game game number 1, they scored 16 points against a terrible Cincinnati defense. Game number 2, they scored 17. No, they had a tip ball 4th down touchdown catch early in that game, and also a Dylan Gabriel touchdown in the final minutes of the game. So de facto, they scored 3 points against Baltimore last week. Good luck against Green Bay. When your quarterback is a statue and Micah Parsons is breathing down your neck, it's not going to work well for the Cleveland Browns. I agree with Joe. I don't know if I want to lay close to double digits, but if you ask me who's going to win that game, it's Green Bay is going to win that game. How about a winner in this one, Joe? New York Jets, Tyrod Taylor. Maybe a quarterback upgrade over Justin Fields, who's out with a concussion this week. Going up against Baker Mayfield. Mayfield and the Bucs looking to stay perfect here. Favored by roughly a touchdown across most outlets in a total, Joe, of 43.5.
Yeah, well, maybe the best thing for the Jets here is that it won't be Justin Fields under center. It'll be Tyrod Taylor. Why is that? Well, because the secondary of the Tampa Bay Bucs is a little banged up and suspect to begin with. So Justin Fields wouldn't be able to pass over the top. Maybe Tyrod can do it here. If you can get 7.5, it might be worth a shot with the dog here. We know, Donnie, 2-0 versus 0-2. You know, the 0-2 teams they may not win, but they're going to stay within a number here. I might look at the Jets in this spot.
I got to tell you, what the Justin Fields had 3 completions last week. So, it's right, he got a concussion. He was out early in the game. No, he wasn't. He played well into the second half. So you might be looking at a quarterback. And if it's not a quarterback upgrade, at least it's competency that you're going to get at the quarterback position. I'm not saying the Jets win, but don't be surprised if they look actually like they could function on offense this week. More NFL talk next. It only goes down right here on the SportsGrid Network. I'm having a tough time with this next game handicap-wise, and sometimes you get this earlier in the season. I do think the Denver Broncos are a good football team. I also think the Chargers are a very good football team. But the one thing I can't understand is home field advantage is supposed to mean something. And I do think the Chargers, from a betting landscape and a public landscape, it's like, you know what? That's a really good football team. And yes, Denver's good, but they lost last week to the Colts. Now they're on the road again. How does that factor in? If we're finding 67% of the tickets coming in on the Chargers, Joe, FanDuel and DraftKings won't move off of that 2.5. I start to scratch my head and say, what am I missing in this game? A total of around 46 to 46.5, depending where you're shopping at. And you see the placard there at 45.5. So different opinions from different outlets right now. What are the expectations? Because it feels like to me like the Chargers are everybody's darling early, but not getting a lot of respect. But also at the same time, a lot of bets coming in, but the odds makers going, whoa, we don't want to move that to 3, Joe.
Yeah, no, they don't. And this is a tough spot because Bo Nix is not, he's kind of taken a step back here. His interception rate has doubled from a year ago. He's not throwing the ball down the field. Everything is play action and everything is kind of dinking and dunking right now with them. But I'll say this, the Chargers losing Khalil Mack is big because he was a big part. Joey Bosa is in Buffalo. We saw him last night, but no Khalil Mack. Them getting to the quarterback is a bit of an issue. Now, they have a tremendous secondary. We just saw that last week against Geno here. They don't allow a whole lot of balls over the top. So I don't know that Bo Nix is all of a sudden going to figure out how to go and start throwing the ball and stretching the field. So I think it's going to be a lot of dinking and dunking. And I think Los Angeles on a short week, that Denver defense is coming after him. They're not just going to sit back and let Herbert, pick them apart. So I think the under may be the best way to go here, Donnie. I think it'll be a close game, but I don't know that we're going to get I think that Denver makes the corrections from a week ago, and I think this thing is going to be about blitzing from all over the world here with these two quarterbacks. Points might be hard to come by.
Yeah, it's one of those games, you look at the entire slate on the card, and I love the fact that, again, that there's no bye weeks, but, usually a game you can find, a good prop bet, a good side, maybe a good total. I have nothing for this game, and it's because they're they're two bad football teams, stay away. No, they're two good football teams. I just don't understand the game plan of what's going to play out. If I was just saying reading the line, as we like to say, I probably would take the Denver Broncos because I think the line is short at 2.5, but outside of that, nothing for me in that one. 4:05 start, New Orleans and Seattle. Should be an easy victory for the Seattle Seahawks here. Sam Darnold under center, 7.5 as the favorite here, and a total low at 41.5. New Orleans, first 2 games at home, competitive, yes, but now going on the road a few thousand miles away up to the 12s, and they'll be passionate here. Is this a runaway victory, or is Kellen Moore's team showing a lot of might and mettle here where maybe they can stay within that touchdown range?
A lot of traveling for this Seattle team,
Yeah,
isn't there, over the first
true.
couple of weeks? Now they're back home. Keep an eye on Zach Charbonnet. I believe he has not practiced yet, didn't practice yesterday. So we'll see if he's able to go. But if you got Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet going, I mean, they just ran right over that Pittsburgh offense. No problem there. I think this defense is legit of Seattle. So I think the Saints are going to be in trouble here. But yes, the Seahawks at home should have no problem winning this thing by double digits. But, the backdoor cover could be very alive and well at Lumen Field here in this one, because this game could be out of hand by the fourth. And we've already seen New Orleans be feisty when the game is well in hand for the other team.
Look, Rattler trying to hang around and make an NFL career. Certainly, Kellen Moore wants to be competitive in his first season, sort of set that foundation. One of those interesting games that maybe not a lot of people will be paying attention to because it gets buried at 4 o'clock, because the Dallas Cowboys and the Chicago Bears. We're not even saying these are two good football teams meeting up here. What we're saying is the entertainment value should be much higher. A total listed at 50.5 and a slight favorite towards the Dallas Cowboys, who opened up actually as an underdog here. I would not be surprised if we get a combination of 275 plus yards out of each quarterback, 2+ touchdowns out of each quarterback, and we do get those totals. But I think everybody's looking at the 50.5 go, yeah, that should be an easy over. Do you agree, Joe? We're getting points between Chicago and Dallas.
I listen, I don't know it makes any sense for Chicago to try to get into a shootout with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
They can't. Dak Prescott will beat Caleb Williams in that kind of game all day. So they might not have a choice, Chicago, because if I'm Dallas, I'm going to go up tempo. I'm going to take advantage of that, what I just saw Detroit do to that Chicago defense here. Can they patch up the holes here? Either which way, I don't think Chicago controls the tempo of this game. I think Dallas does. Would not shock me, Donnie, if we are going way over the total, especially in that first half before adjustments are made. I will go ahead and back the first half over as well.
Yeah, fire up Roma Dunze, fire up CeeDee Lamb in this game. We'll see what happens, because I do think those guys are going to be running wide open for a good portion. Hey, knock, knock, knock. Colston Loveland, are you home? Would you like to participate here as a first-round draft pick in this game? And Ben Johnson, can you use them? We'll find out more on Sunday at 4:25 p.m. Sunday Night Football. This is an interesting one because, hey, look at this. Two teams coming into the game. What would their records be? Well, probably 2-0 and maybe 0-2. How about both of these teams? 0-2 on Sunday Night Football, and the Chiefs, who never cover spreads, are favored between 5.5 and 6.5, depending on where you're shopping at. In the total, that's listed at around 44.5. Can the Giants shock the nation by picking up their first win? But that won't even be the most shocking part. It would be that the Chiefs would open the season 0-3. That can't happen, can it?
No, and it won't happen. And let's not pretend like it will happen here. I think Kansas City, I think Isaiah Pacheco they're going to get this running game going. The Giants not only have some issues in pass coverage that we saw last week, Donnie, there, but they also rank last in rush yards allowed here for running plays. So they're not stopping anybody. They're certainly not jamming anybody at the line of scrimmage. And I think Kansas City, who's better play caller than Andy Reid? He's going to pick apart, and Mahomes is going to pick apart both the run defense and that secondary of the Giants. I think Kansas City lets out some frustration in a blowout.
Let's see what happens. And also, let me just check that players or practice report here. Let's go to Kansas City quickly, because I just want to see that wide receiver situation. Xavier Worthy, Wednesday and Thursday, Joe. Limited participant here. That would be a big boost, even if he's out there as a decoy to try to open up that offense. And Travis Kelce, hey, when the ball's thrown to you at the 1-yard line, you catch it. You don't bobble it. You score in the end zone, as opposed to a touchdown basically going the other way for the Philadelphia Eagles. Monday Night Football. We'll talk about this game a lot Monday, but it still needs to be previewed. Detroit and Baltimore. The NFL got this one right. We want to watch this game because why? Both of these teams are 1-1, but they're a lot of fun. The highest total of the week, 52.5, and a favorite at 5.5 for the Baltimore Ravens, Joe. Goff, Jaxon, love that this is going to be our Monday night game for Monday.
I do too, and it's also the highest total on the board, right? And with good reason. Both these teams will have no issue if they're down 2 scores to be throwing it and moving the ball all over the place. I think the Lions defense is a little bit better here than what the Ravens have brought to the table here, certainly when it comes to stopping the run. So I do think Baltimore, though, at home, they come up with big plays at big moments here. I don't understand the spread, but I do think the total might be a tad high here for this one. So I'd look to go under it and go contrarian.
I'll tell you, too, what could be one of the differentiating factors is what's going to happen. These teams are going to pass up field goals. Both of these coaches are ultra aggressive here, particularly with Dan Campbell. So you're trying to set the stage. So does passing up to 3 to get 7 actually cash those tickets? Or that doesn't mean like 4th and 2s, you don't get it. You just gave 3 points away at that point, and then it's a long field on the opposite end. That's what I'm looking forward to. But an awesome Sunday slate in the NFL. Sunday night game with a lot of intrigue with basically 2 bad football teams, which you are what your record says you are, between the Kansas City Chiefs and the New York Giants. But then that Monday night banger to come out of the woodwork. For me, Joe, as an Eagles fan, I'm loving the fact that they get the Rams at a 1 o'clock start this Sunday as maybe the game of the weekend.